really was to
that I felt like I needed, and I was comfortable in that space of just me and God.
It is offensive. Hope is desperate.
Oh. I was dancing on the other side, okay?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Jumpstart Your Vision with Coach Karen Hilton. I am Coach Karen Hilton, and as you can see, we were going all the way in. I love that song. I just sent a message to our executive technical producer, John Kovaleski, asking him, we got to have some of that music, like seriously, like during the show, so we can have a little bit of a set, like set the tone for Monday. If anybody's up for a dance party, let me know. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday morning, and you know it's my favorite day of the week. I am so excited. I have an amazing guest for you today, and I want you to get your notepad. I want you to get your tissue box, like whatever it is you need, your prayer cloth, whatever, because we're going in today. We're talking about a serious topic, and I'm just going to be honest with you. This is going to be a little bit deep. It's going to be a little bit deep. So if you're ready to go in, if you are a vision-driven leader, entrepreneur, ministry partner, community leader, and you love God, this is for you. Now, we don't have, a mission to convert people. That is not what we do. We have an incredibly diverse community, but I don't make any bones. Like, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I'm going to tell you something, as a corporate leader, as a CEO, as a founder myself, my faith has been a foundation for everything I do. And so I wanted to create a space where people feel safe, really going in and exploring all the elements of life, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the successes, the challenges, everything from the lens of faith. Because I'm going to tell you something, when you do that, you will rock your vision. And as I always say, you've got more options than you realize. Okay, got all that out of the way. Good morning, everybody. Come on in here. If you are here, do me a favor, click on that video. Or if you are following on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button so that you get notifications when we go live. We've got some amazing stuff coming up for you today with our guest. We are talking about discovering the power of your own value and worth. Now, I know most of you think you have this down, and most days I have it down too. But sometimes, y'all, sometimes, we're going to talk about it today. And we want to talk about the difference for those of you that are vision-driven leaders, because there is a lens that we need to look at our value and worth. And we're not talking about money. Okay, we're not talking about money. So if money is what you're looking for, this may not be the show for you. But otherwise, come on in here, drop a note in the comments, and let me know that you are here. We've got Lorianne Taylor. Good morning, Lorianne. Great to see you this morning. I want to just set up a few things so that you are in the know. First of all, at 11:30 today, we are doing our first live workshop. Now, when I say live workshop, I mean it is a private workshop. And we are going to be going in on our vision kit. This is the month of September, of course, and it's the last month of the third quarter. And so we are going to be delving into our vision kit. If you have not gotten this, if you've not downloaded this, it's absolutely free for members of our community. If you're watching me right now on Facebook, if you click the link in the upper right-hand corner and it says join group, you can join the free group as well. And that is where we share our vision kits. In addition to that, we share something that is really special. It's a masterclass training on all sorts of topics, and it's called the After Show. Those are downloaded as well. And that's really where we get into the how. So here in this space, in the live stream, we talk about the what, right? The practical kind of concepts and ideas. But if you really want to understand, like, Karen, how do I do what it is you're talking about? Join us in the coaching group. It's absolutely free, and we would love to see you there. Okay. Again, if you are here, go ahead and let me know that you are here in the stream. We love to shout you out, and we love to share your perspective, your thoughts and ideas. This is an interactive discussion. And our guest today is an amazing CEO She is a founder. She's an author. She's a wife. She's a mother. She's a senior executive. I could go on, but I love this woman because she is so honest and real. I love when I met her for the first time, like literally the environment in the room shifted because I believe that she has an anointing to do what it is that she's called to do. We're going to talk about some of that. We're going to ask her for a few of her secrets, but we're also going to ask her to share some of the real life. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just want to know, like, I get like all the success stories, but what about the things I need to watch out for? What about the things that you learned? If you have ever wanted like that inner circle, that seat at the table, that coffee fireside chat with an executive, this is the space for you. So come on in here. All right, I'm going to introduce to you now the incomparable Fern Johnson. Now, Fern has a bio like nobody's business, but Fern is joining us from her home. Good morning, Fern.
Good morning, Karen.
It is so good to see you.
You too. You look beautiful as always. I see.
Thank you. Likewise.
You're in the pink this morning.
Yes, we got the memo. Fern, I am so honored that you would like take time out of your travel schedule and your busy schedule. I know you've got a lot going on, but Fern, you know, the fact that you trust us enough to come into this space and just to share your heart and your story and your journey means a lot. Because the reality is that we know that the leaders in our community, and as you know, we've got CEOs, we have attorneys, we have executives, we have entrepreneurs. We have people who already have kind of that path. They've experienced some sort of success. They are building something or they have a vision for something. So we are super, super excited to hear your story. But I want to just tee it up a little bit. So Fern is the founder and CEO of Career Sisters LLC, the Career Sisters brand. And I know some things about like she's being super super chill on this because the woman is a boss. She's an accomplished executive, a speaker. She's a former adjunct professor, a business owner, and she's a published author. I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about how the book came to be. She's a native of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and is the first of her 8 siblings to graduate from college. No small feat. Fern, we are so excited to have you this morning.
I am excited to be here this morning.
Well, so Fern and how did we meet? Remind me of how we met.
You had a branding photography session at Career Sisters, because we obviously use the space for multiple things for women. And Kim was running a little late, which is the photographer. And so
let's shout her out. Kim Amazing photography.
Amazing.
Epic. If you need branding photography,
absolutely.
Don't go to anybody else. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So Kim was running a little late, and I said, "Hey, Kim, you know, the servant leader that I am, I said, I live down the street. I'll go meet Karen and get her set up." And so I met you there, and I don't know, I think I was, you know, helping you with your bags and everything. And we just immediately hit it off. I loved your funky hairstyle. I'm like, girl, you are rocking that do, you know, and you shared a little bit about you, and I shared a little bit about me, and we just connected. I think that you have those connections in life. I believe in the power of connection. And some people you meet, and it's divine immediately. It's like a divine connection. And I felt that with you. Yeah. And comfortable enough to even share some things about my mother. I didn't even know what you had gone through with your mother. And I was sharing with you about my mother. And you said when you walked in the space, you felt I don't remember the word, but I know you felt like peace or a presence. And I said, you know, my mother and I actually prayed over the space before we even opened up. Yeah. And it's the Holy Spirit you're feeling. You know, everybody can't deal with the Holy Spirit when they walk up in there.
Come on.
But when I set that foundation, I literally made sure that, you know, God was a part of it.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Fern has had an amazing career. Fern, I want you to just kind of share a little bit about what you do now, kind of where you serve now, and kind of your path to that, kind of a brief summary of your life story, just so people have some context.
Oh gosh, a brief summary. What kind of synopsis? Karen already mentioned that I am the founder and CEO of Career Sisters. But prior to all of that, I actually started, as an accounting assistant in my early 20s. I was recently divorced. I had a son, and I decided that, I made a conscious decision that Daniel was not going to endure poverty the way I did, and I was like, I'm going to go back to school and get my education. And so I actually went back to school as a young adult. I got my bachelor's at 25, and then I got my MBA at 28, 29. And that just kind of jump started my career. And 15 years later, I ended up in the C-suite. I was always the first lonely only Black woman in the C-suite. And it's opened some amazing doors for me, connection again. And so I served in several positions: director of finance, CFO, VP, and I actually still do some of that. I'm a fractional CFO, in my part-time life, I should say. But overall, I am a executive. I am a CEO. I am a mom. I actually have this mug that I love to drink out of coffee: wife, mom, boss. And that kind of sums it up for me. I'm a wife, I'm a mom of 4, and I am a boss.
Wow, that's incredible. For those of you that are out there that are trying to do it all, let me just tell you that one of the reasons why I bring these amazing guests to you is because I want to give you evidence that you have more options than you realize. It is not an easy journey being a vision caster, right? It sounds really sexy to be a CEO or to be a boss or whatever. But Fern, is it not true that it is not for the faint of heart?
Girl, listen here. I'm telling you. I mean, sometimes I feel like I was talking to you this morning and I said, girl, I feel like a servant this morning, which sometimes I prefer being a servant leader. Because when you do become a boss, you think, I want to get to the top. I want that title. I want that corner office. And you don't realize what all that entails and you need what level you need to sustain, because you can get there, but sustaining is a whole nother conversation, right? How do you sustain, right?
Yeah.
Because getting there is one thing, but being able to stay there is something entirely different.
Wow. Fern, so you are a fractional CFO, you're a director, you're a VP, you are a consultant that is, I have been with you literally when CEOs are calling you on the phone and asking for a private audience with you. So you're doing that, but then you also built Career Sisters. And I really want people to understand what Career Sisters is and kind of the evolution of it, why how did it even get started? And what I really want to know is, were you always clear about your vision?
And I think back, I always had, little glimpses of what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to empower women. I just, I think growing up with my mom and just looking at her and admiring her strength, but understanding that she always didn't really have a community to support her as she was in this journey, raising 8 children as a single mom most of the time. And so for me, Career Sisters was almost birthed out of the need to create a space to help women forge their careers and businesses. I primarily focus on women of color because I am a woman of color, but I say, women of color are those who can relate to us. If you're a woman, period, and if I can help inspire you, then I'm all about that. But really, Career Sisters is a place where sisters can connect and emerge empowered. And emerge means to educate, mentor, encourage, restore, guide, and empower. And I believe that, those 6 pillars really mean something in each level, depending on where you are in life. Do you need to be educated in a certain area? Do you need to be mentored? Do you need to be encouraged? Do you need to be restored? Because so many of us have gone through so much in life, and it just pulls and takes from us and it depletes us. And sometimes we just need restoration. And so I saw Career Sisters as just being that space where women can just connect and emerge in power. And I know for me, as I was in my career journey, especially, oftentimes I would be sitting in my car, during my lunch breaks, and I would be sitting under a tree and just, thinking, okay, I can go to Starbucks and get a coffee and sit there and, connect with myself, call some friends up. But I wish I had a space where I could meet with other like-minded women and just have conversations with them, and be encouraged because I'm going through something. And I just couldn't call up somebody and say, let me tell you what just happened today, you know. And so just to have that safe space where like-minded women who get it can just, you know, give it to me. You know, it was like that give and that community where you can give to one another. That's kind of how I see Career Sisters.
I love that. I love that birthing story. And if you have never been to the Career Sisters property, when I walked in, I literally got chills. I got chills because Fern's space is so, like, the footprint of it, the vision for what she has and what she's created. It is a curated space. Like, every nook and cranny has been touched and anointed. Like, you walk in and you just feel like you're at home. But I have a question for you. So you created the space for women to come and to get all of those things that they need, regardless of where they are in their career. But Fern, there are all kinds of like co-working spaces and office environments and all of that. Like, why step out and create your own? Like, why not do it like everybody else is doing it?
That's a good question. You know, for me, it wasn't just another co-working space. It wasn't just another shared space where you can come and plug up and get a hot desk. It was really a space where you can just, it's almost like a home away from home, where you just don't have all the mess, right? Because sometimes we can be in our home and it's like you feel like you want to escape. And I really envision Career Sisters as being that space where you can escape and just, you know, we've got soft seating and pillows and coffee and wine and just the things that we as women need, right? And co-working spaces, they have that, but it's not a place where I can feel completely vulnerable. And I feel like Career Sisters offer that additional level of vulnerability. You can come there and just like let your hair down. I actually say, you know, leave your title at the door because I just don't have time for that, right? And I feel as though so many of us get so caught up in those titles that oftentimes we can't be transparent and we can't be vulnerable because we're always, you know, it's that competition in us. And I'm like, forget competition. I can't do nothing with competition, but I can do something with some vulnerability. And I feel as though that's what Career Sisters offer. It's something that no other space could offer in terms of just coming here and let it in all, leave it at the door and come in like every other woman and just level set and let's just talk about life.
Yes. Wow. And, you know, when you walk into your space, you know, having been there on multiple occasions, you feel that and you sense that. It's a real draw, I think. And I want to go back to something because one of the things that one of the events that I attended for you, Fern, was an executive roundtable. You were pulling women together to do an event, and this was a very diverse group.
Yeah.
So while kind of your target audience is women of color, what I love about your concept is that you work with anybody who has a vision that aligns to the services that you offer.
Yes.
And what I discovered in that environment, and I see this a lot in my own work, is how powerful it can be when you have affinity with people in the room. And the beautiful thing about, you know, the vision-driven community that we have is that you will literally have a CEO and a stay-at-home mom right across from each other. Maybe that stay-at-home mom used to be in corporate and she's no longer in corporate, right?
Yes.
And so I always talk about this idea that who you are or what you do does not define your vision, which brings me to our purpose today. And that is discovering the power of your value and worth. Yes. Most of you know my story that in 2013, my mother, my best friend in the world, was coming to the end of her journey with ovarian cancer. I was an executive of a global tech firm, and traveling the world and living my best life. And my career was, you know, just like, I was surprising myself. I'm like, wait a minute, how did I get here? You know, my husband would tease me and he'd be like, I thought you didn't want to be an executive and here you are, right? But I found myself at a place of what I call positive disruption. My world got wrecked. I was killing it. I was running hard. I was doing all the things that I wanted to do. And then my mom got sick. And I was planning at the time when I got that kind of fateful phone call. I got a phone call from my mother's caregiver. And that was the beginning of the shift for me. And although my mother was my best friend in the world for almost 30 years, we did everything together. We spoke multiple times a day. We went on vacations together. I mean, she was my roadie, kind of like you, Fern. Like she was my roadie.
Yes.
Even though all those things were true, I like had this rude awakening that when she became catastrophically ill, my life changed almost overnight. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to talk to, or I had no roadmap. I had no place to really go to share what I was experiencing, right? And I realized in that moment, like, I've got to leave my job. I can't do everything. I was at like complete burnout. I was trying to travel the world, raise 3 young kids. We had a young family at the time. I was trying to, grow my career, grow my I was trying to do it all. And literally one day I came in and I was a mess. And my husband asked me a question. For those of you that know me, you know that one of the things I say is, it's going to be all right. And everything's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And my husband said, babe, how are you? And I said, I am not okay. And that was how he knew and how I knew that things were not okay. But Fern, I did not understand at that time. I did not realize that I was on the cusp of something, but I tied my value and worth, my value, in other words, what is it that I hold? What is that contribution that I give? All of my value was tied up in my job, in my title, right? I had this amazing career, and like I was VP of this and executive, whatever of this, I was doing all those things. So my value, my belief system about, what I contribute, what I'm capable of, was tied up in my title. My worth, my intrinsic existence, and my meaning in the earth to my family was tied up in my job. And it broke me. Now, I know now what I didn't know then, which was that kind of that road, that bridge that I was on needed to happen. Because as a believer, if you tie up your value and worth in what you have, what your title is at any given time, who you know, what you're assigned to, or what you're given access, if you tie your value and worth up in that, beloved, and Pastor Andy talks about this, I may get him on later this week to talk about this, but you will come to a point of complete burnout or humiliation.
Hello.
That may be too much for y'all, but this morning I told you at the start, this is going to be a little bit deep. The vision-driven leader has to have a different perspective about their value and worth. Now, I want to just break it down for you, because this morning, as I was praying into this and just kind of getting my mind right, this is what the Holy Spirit loaded on me. So just for a minute, and then Fern, I want you to speak into this. If all you ever do is rent somebody else's vision, you will build somebody else's house. And this is not about material possessions. This is about knowing that God has a plan for you.
Yes.
If he cares about the sparrows, will he not provide for you? When you know your value and worth, y'all come on in here. If you're doing something else, I need you to hear this. When you know your value and worth, it will transform your perspective on things like small beginnings, dry seasons, silence and isolation, disappointment and heartbreak, delay and denials. I could go on. Vision helps you rightly divide where you are, what you're going through, and who you are, and wait for it, what you're capable of. Hear me carefully. When you know your value and worth, not according to what the world says, not according to how many followers you have, you will prioritize obedience over outcomes.
That's good.
Oh, Lord. I gave myself chills.
That's good.
Vision wipes the mud off your eyes, y'all, and allows you to see what will otherwise be hidden from you.
That's good.
I'm done. I'm done. I need a minute.
I'm just like, that's so good, right? A similar, story, but a little bit different. But my positive disruption, and you helped me to understand the positive side of this disruption, right? I just thought of disruption. Was, I got to one of the top places in my career, and I was waiting for that golden parachute. I was spearheading a multi-million-dollar deal that would set me up for life if the deal went through. And right before the deal went through, the company that was about to buy the company that I was working for decided to pull out. And when they pulled out, it left us in such devastation because we didn't, I can't say too much, but we didn't set ourselves up with a breakup fee. And a breakup fee essentially is if the deal doesn't happen, they still pay, right? They still give you something towards all the fees that you've associated with getting this deal, teed up. The deal fell through. And then for the next year, I was carrying this company. I had, to give you an example, my middle child, Jacob, who's now 7, I actually was pregnant with him, birthed him. And I'm at Piedmont Hospital. He's in NICU, and I'm working, still working, because I had too much tied up in all of that you just talked about, that I wasn't even taking care of myself. So the deal fell through. About a year later, I'm deal fatigued. I'm tired, and the owner decided that I just wasn't fit for the job anymore. And he came into my office after he did some deal, and he had this manila envelope, and I knew something was happening. I actually had to take my mom to Augusta to the hospital, and I said, Mom, the Holy Spirit is getting me ready for something. I said, it's either going to be the golden parachute or something that I just don't even know. I said, but my spirit is uneasy, and it wasn't restless. It was just like, get ready, get ready, get ready, because something is about to shift in your life. And when he handed me that manila envelope, I'm thinking, are you freaking kidding me? I was so upset. I wanted to leap across the desk and choke him out is what I wanted to do. Okay, that's the ghetto side.
Jesus, but you know how to lay hands. Okay.
I could see myself leaping and choking him out. And I said, Lord, Holy Spirit, help me right now. Because I was sitting there like, oh, okay, right. Now tell me again. And as he didn't know.
I'm sorry, that's not funny, but y'all, that is fantastic.
I was really thinking, how am I about to take him down? Right? Because he was a little man and it wouldn't have been too difficult. And so I get this manila envelope and I'm reading it. And he's like, you can, call your attorney and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't even get all my severance. And I'm just like stewing because I was making more money than my husband. A lot of folks think, the man is the head and he's making all the money. I'm like, hey, I'm not the head, but I'm making the cash. And I already know Jeff Johnson was going to be like, where's the for sale sign at? We about to sell it all. Matter of fact, he actually told me, babe, can you turn your Mercedes in? I know you just got it a year ago, but can they take it back? Can you get a Toyota? Take it back? He said, can you get a Toyota? And I said, it's got French fries stuck in there. No, they don't even want. I actually called, and they actually said, the guy, love him, Gerald. He was like, oh, hey, Miss Johnson, you want the newest edition? I said, well, can I turn it in and get something? I don't know. Do you got a Camry? He said, oh, he started laughing. He said, no, nobody don't want your model anymore. He said, you gotta, level up. And so I told my husband, I said, honey, if God whatever God gave us, he will continue to sustain it in whatever season we're in. Whatever season. See, that's the thing about me is that I had to learn you can't force a person, place, or thing. And if you force it, you got to fight to keep it. And when you fight for something, then you've got to constantly fight to keep it. But when God gives it to you, and it's like seamless, you don't got to fight for nothing. And I have not worked corporately as an employee for 6.5 years. And matter of fact, he blessed me. He quadrupled what I had. Houses, cars, money, everything. And so as I got that severance, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I went home and I was crying, and Jeff was upset, and I was like looking at Uzis, gonna go and
Stop it.
No, just kidding. But no, really. But I decided, and then my birthday was approaching, and the Holy Spirit was like, why don't you go hike Stone Mountain? And I was like, hike Stone Mountain? It's hot. It's in June. My birthday, June the 27th. And I called my sister up, one of my sisters and my girl. I said, girl, let's go hike Stone Mountain. So we get out there and like, I don't know, 11 o'clock. The sun is like at the height of the sun that day. And as I got close to the base of the mountain, I said, guys, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll catch up. And I remember putting on my headset, and I said, I got to listen to something. And the closer I got to the base of the mountain, the more I felt like my flesh just didn't want to go. But my spirit said, you better press on. And as my sister and girlfriend went up that mountain, and I was, going up the mountain behind them, every step I started shedding a piece of that self-worth, a piece of me that felt like I was tied up, that I needed that validation. And by the time I got to the top of the mountain, I was tired, I was hot. I just started crying. And I said, God, I surrender. I didn't care who was around me. I surrendered. I said, you can take it all. If it costs me this much, it's not worth it. And I said, God, take it all. I don't care. I don't care about the houses, the cars, the vacations, the money. I'm exhausted. I was tired. And then I ran down a mountain 5 minutes later and had to go pee, and found out I was pregnant with my daughter, Maya. And I tell my husband, I think I got pregnant on a mountain. I say, I think when I surrendered.
Ooh, girl, you better stop it.
And I said, and this is the thing, I wasn't even ovulating because I was using the thermometer to check when I'm in ovulation. I kid you not, but I had Maya's name picked out years before, and God kept giving me all these boys. And God said, I am still blessing you, still in the blessing business, because you wanted this girl. And every time you look at your daughter, I want you to remember who I am, that I can do exceedingly abundantly above all. And I said, God, and I knew
I could not with you.
I said, it was like he was giving me Maya, and I was birthing her in the natural as I was birthing career sister in the spiritual. I knew that I needed to create a space for women so we could connect and talk and have transparent conversations and talk about this corporate life, because it's real. When you're working, whether you're a mom, it's real being a mom. Heck, I mean, just being home with my kids. I'm managing household. I say I'm an executive mom, an executive wife. We're an executive wife and mom. It's a lot to manage a household. Yes. Washing dishes and cooking and baking and sexing, all that stuff.
Oh, Lord. I got to sit down now.
I'm just saying. So I think oftentimes we think that we see other women.
God.
And I was so tied up in that competition, that competitiveness, thinking I need to look a certain way, be a certain way, act a certain way. And God is like, I'm going to strip you from all of that. Yeah. And God started to make me in my low places. He said, I'm going to build you up, but it's going to be at a low point. The lowest point of your life is when you're going to find out who you are.
So you are like setting us up, because what you're talking about is reframing your value and worth.
Yes.
Right? Going from, easy street, or what people think is easy street. And for all of you that are entrepreneurs and you're hustling and you're doing it and you're exhausted and you're all of that, when you understand your value and worth, you will begin to look at your circumstances differently. Right? I said it, we prayed before we went live. And I said this, God dropped this in my spirit yesterday, that when you understand that your hard places are opportunities, right? Now, I am a person, I value safety, right? That's part of my DNA. It's part of how I'm wired. I value safety. So I do things that keep me safe, right? So going into hard places and hard spaces, or trying to climb that mountain, right? That difficult place, that difficult relationship, that woman at work who just won't leave, and she's mean as a snake, and she's always coming for you.
Yes.
You know, or that difficult course for those of you that are students, and it just feels like that course is gonna like you are gonna fail based on that course. Or maybe it's your marriage, where your marriage is just like, it is not where you want it. It's not what you thought it would be, whatever. Or maybe it's, you know, you're struggling to build your business or take it to the next level, to scale. We have to stop as vision-driven believers, leaders, entrepreneurs, ministry leaders, community leaders. We have to stop looking at those challenges. Maybe you're a CEO. That's just coming up in my spirit. Maybe you're a CEO and you have a difficult staff or workforce issue. We have to stop looking at those things and asking God, why is that happening to me? I need you to stop saying that. I need you to ask, God, what is it you want me to see?
Yes.
What is it you need me to learn? What is it you want me to uncover?
I love it.
What is it that you need me to let go of? Right? We know God to be the God of peace. And in your vision, I don't care where you serve. I don't care where you lead. I don't care where you go, where you put your feet. God is a God of peace. So when you're in that moment, when you're in that relationship or in those circumstances and you're struggling, right? Just know this. Ask God, what is it that you need me to learn? Now, I'm not one of those people, Fern, who believes that, you know, the enemy throws everything at you, and like, I'm not that person. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes it's just life. Sometimes it's just pizza. Sometimes you just got, you know, somebody. But what I do know is that the enemy will use anything. He will use anything to get you off track. So when you are in the midst of that circumstance or situation, can I just encourage you to do something? And we're going to go deep into how to pulse check your vision. If you do not have this resource, I don't know if you can see it, how to pulse check your vision. Fern, you have a copy of this.
It is amazing. I love it.
I want you to go download this. We are going to be working through it in the masterclass, which Fern and I are going to be recording in just a little while. And it's going to be available within the group coaching community, which you can join for free if you just click that button in the right-hand corner, wherever that is, where you're watching it, on the Facebook page. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, head over to our Facebook page, which is Rock Your Vision Masterclass Community. And then in the right-hand corner, you'll see a link that says Join Group. If you jump in that group, the training that we're going to be recording, the masterclass on this, we are going to unpack this. So if you are somebody and you're like, you know what, I don't even really know where to start. Or maybe you're somebody, you are so tied up in what it is you're doing, what it is God's called you to do, that you are overwhelmed, exhausted, frustrated, stuck, whatever. This right here, how to pulse check your vision, this toolkit is going to set you up for success. It is going to give you that breath of fresh air that you've been asking for. You do not have to get on the struggle bus. And if you are on the struggle bus, you can get off. You can get off. The struggle bus is optional, y'all. I'm just saying. Okay. I got all kinds of twisted, but I really wanted to answer this question, and it's about purpose. Purpose is, this is what I have been created to do. Okay, that's in a nutshell, that's what purpose is. What you have been uniquely created to do, divinely equipped to do. Fern, you are one of the women, and for those of you that don't know, Fern is an author. She wrote an incredible book. I would love to get some copies of that, by the way, because I want to give some of those away in this community.
Absolutely.
But you tell your story, which will leave you breathless. But you are one of the most purpose-driven women I have ever met. And purpose is one of those things that also clarifies how we spend our time, what we do, what we say yes to, what we say no to. Pastor Andy talks about this all the time. So my question for you, Fern, is what you were uniquely created to do. You know your gifts and talents. Did you always know your gifts and talents? And tell us, like, how did you discover what your real gifts and talents were? Not just what you were doing for a job, right? But like, how did you know that?
It's funny. I was having a conversation with my mother, I don't know, about a month or so ago. And I said, Mom, I don't have, talent or gifts that, like one of my sisters, she is a master beautician. She can just do hair. I mean, she can hook you up. And she was like that as a little girl. And then I have somebody else who is really good organizer. And so, some folks are, my brother, who's a really good singer. But I was one of those kids that, you really couldn't easily identify so I thought, in my opinion, my gifts or my talents. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my mom, and she said, when you were a little girl, you were always very assertive, but you had this giving and serving just spirit about you, and a spirit of discernment. And she said, you would help out people just like you love to help people. And she said, as you got older and you started living in the communities that we were living in, you would see a lot of the single girls that went to school with you that had kids, and you would try to help them get jobs and help their kids out and help them do all this other stuff. And so I think my life has always been to create spaces where I can inspire people, quite frankly, where I could speak into their lives, or I can sit down with them and really help them come up with a plan of action that just, create some inspiration for them, and be this bridge and help them facilitate things. I'm a great delegator. And so I just, I have the ability to be able to inspire people. And it's just not women, it's anybody. I can sit down with a person and we can start having conversation. And then God just gives me, at times, he gives me the ability to be able to speak into people's lives and to inspire them. And so I think I've always been an inspirational, motivational type person, I love to do it. And I thought about that even at all my jobs, everybody I've ever led, even when I was in positions that not of management, a lot of the leaders would call me into their office and just like talk to me. They were like, you're so easy to talk to, what do you think I should do about XYZ? Yeah. And so I think I've always been that person that just, I love to see people reach their maximum potential. Yeah. And how can I help you do that?
So it sounds like all along the way, you've had clues, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when we talk about purpose, it's really like, guys, we've got to get this as vision-driven leaders. We have to understand our purpose. Now, we can spend a lot of time, and I said it earlier, we can spend a lot of time kind of, ignoring our purpose or rejecting our purpose and fighting or running away from our purpose. Again, this is something else Pastor Andy, like, he's an expert on. But when you connect to your purpose, what it is you were created to do, right? It doesn't matter if you are, in the workplace or if you are building a business. When you understand what it is you were created to do, when you understand who it is that needs your story or your gift or your insight, when you understand that, things shift. Mm-hmm. You get one step closer and another step closer and another step closer to rocking your vision. When my mom was ill, I felt like my life was falling apart. I felt like life was really dark. Like I was dressed to the nines and, I had a smile on my face. I had my hair, tight, all of that. But it felt dark. My life felt heavy. It felt hard to have joy. And looking back, one of the reasons I think that was true was because I could not find my purpose in the hard places. Are you hearing me? I couldn't see what God was trying to do. I was that person asking, why is this happening? Like, why would you do this? And what good is this? What's the use? I was asking all of the wrong questions. The question I needed to be asking in that hard place was, God, what is it you need me to see? How is it that you need me to engage in this moment? Because listen to me very carefully. If you look to the world, if you look to social media, if you look to all of the plans and the programs and the platforms, you will be hopping. Do you hear me? You will wear yourself out. If you have something in front of you, that difficult situation or whatever, and it is overwhelming you, you are at a place of positive disruption. So the question is, Karen, how do you know when you're at a place of positive disruption? I'm going to tell you, so get your notepad because this is good. How do you know you're at a place of positive disruption? When whatever it is you're going through is coming for you, it is eating your lunch. For some of my clients, they feel a constant sense of malaise. They have a physical, they don't feel well. For some people, it is a mental, spiritual, and emotional kind of thing where they feel a heaviness or a darkness, or they feel distracted all the time. They feel a sense of hopelessness. If you do not know, as a vision-driven leader who is a believer, it is real important that you know the character of God, because you will know when you're at a point of positive disruption, when you have circumstances that are so heavy and so dark and so worrisome, where you feel fear all the time, or shame, or overwhelm. Beloved, that is not God's best for you. That's not God's best for you. So when you understand just how valuable you are, that He will tabernacle with you. He will get with you and give you insight into what's happening. He will share with you and teach you what it is you need to see and what it is you need to know. Fern and I work in the corporate space. Many of you in this community do. Many of you are workplace leaders. When you understand the character of God, you will begin to have a strategic vision. It will not just be what's in front of you right now. Are things good or bad? No. That's not the life. That's not a vision-driven life. Can I just be honest about it? That is not the vision-driven life. The vision-driven life is about understanding your value and worth. If you have a pulse, you have a purpose. Let me translate that. If God has you on this earth, there is something for you to do. He doesn't do small things. He doesn't do average things. He does big things. He does great things. He does mighty things. So I don't care whether or not you are, a CEO, a hospital president. I don't care if you are, serving in the county jail. I don't care if you're a receptionist. If you are watching this, if you have a pulse, God has territory for you. There is something He means for you to do. And let me just set this up. Let me just hit this, because I feel like this is coming up in my spirit. Let's talk about competition. God is not a God of competition. Okay, He owns a cattle on 1,000 hills, so we're going to settle that, right? So if Fern is serving, Fern and I serve very similar markets, but we have constantly, Fern and I always like, okay, God's going to do something with the two of us together. We're not competing. We are serving together. We are walking together, right? We're walking together. So iron sharpens iron, right? When you understand your value and worth, you will stop looking at your circumstances and being wounded.
Yes.
Come on. This is big girl stuff. And I'm that person. I'll be like, whoa, it's me. And why? I'll be doing all of that. When I'm in my feels, y'all. But when you know the character of God, when you know your value and worth, not as the world describes it, but when you begin to understand that God will use everything that is happening in you to help you build a vision you love. That's our theme. That's our campaign this year. Build a vision you love. Yes, you can build a vision you love. If you are struggling, if you are wondering what's next, if you don't have options, if you feel like, you've got, you're on the cusp of something, right? Maybe you have been serving like Fern in that role for way too long, and you're like, I don't know how to get to the next step, let me just tell you, we have a community full of people who have those experiences and have those answers. And that is my heart, to make available this community and this space to be able to do these things, to help you build a vision you love, to inspire you, to encourage you, and to equip you. I've had so many people over the years, they're like, well, I'm so sorry. Like, I was a member of your community, and then like these amazing, I implemented all the things that you told me about and taught us. And now I'm doing this amazing thing. And I'm sorry I'm not in your community anymore. And I'm like, first of all, amen. Second of all, stop apologizing. Because in Rock Your Vision, we do not own our members. Our job is to equip, to release, to inspire and encourage what God has called you to do, right? Because I cannot reach the people that God has assigned to Fern, and vice versa. Am I right, Fern?
Oh, amen. Yes.
Oh Lord, I'm sorry. I just got way. So let me ask you this question. Pastor Andy preached yesterday at Influencers Alpharetta. I want to say hey to all my influencers fam, Influencers Atlanta. Check us out online. But he preached at Alpharetta, and I want you to know, like, first of all, I couldn't write fast enough. Second of all, I felt like I needed to stand the whole service because he just wrecked it. Unbelievable message on disruption. So how did disruption in your life, how has disruption helped you refine your purpose, what it is you are called to do at any given time? How has disruption clarified, refined, shaped your purpose?
Gosh, you've said so much, Karen. I mean, I feel like I should be writing. I'm just like, where's my pen, notepad? But honestly, I can say that disruption has really helped me in terms of just being authentic to who I am and what I've been called to do. And so I don't go into assignments, it used to be like I could go into an assignment and I can be like the lowest person on a totem pole, but I'm so sure about who I am and what God has called me to do that I can do that job and be gone, right? And even when I'm in that job, I still get, the higher ups, all the executives tend to call on me, and that's just God continuing to use me as his beacon of light so that people can see that it goes back to, it's not about your title and who you are and what you do. It's really about what you are and what you've been called to do, right? I can be in any environment now. And God just, it's like I am not defined by what I do. I'm defined by who I am.
Wow.
And I am just so clear on it that I'm just good. I'm confident in my ability to just do my assignment without having to worry about, to your point, the competition and trying to be somebody who I'm not, because that's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Even this morning when I showed up, I told you I just moved recently, and I'm looking for all my clothes, and I had people to pack my house up, and I was like, something, God, let me just put my hair back in a cute ponytail, put some makeup on, throw these glasses on, and I didn't have to be my glammed up self because I'm here to speak a word.
That's right.
To be authentic and transparent. And I may not always have all the right things to say. I may not show up the way that somebody is expecting me to show up. But when you hear me, you feel me. And so at the end of the day, disruption has caused me to be authentically and transparently who I have been called to be.
Come on. If y'all didn't hear that, if you didn't get that in your spirit and your soul, 75 people who need that right there. When you know your value and worth, you can go into any environment, and it is not about who's in the room. It's not about who agrees with you. When you post on social media or you are building a community, when I first started almost a decade ago, we're coming up on our 10 years. When I started this community, I was like, you can go back and look at some of my old content, and I'm like, I am Karen Hilton, and I want to tell you that you have a vision. And I go back and look at that. I'm like, who is that?
I love it. That's awesome.
How'd she get in?
Girl.
How'd she get in? When you understand that when God calls you to something, like Moses, I mean, come on. I mean, we could go all the way in.
Oh yeah.
He is not looking, he is not interested in what you think about who's in the room.
Hello.
Because in your vision, okay, I just gave myself chills. In your vision, when you understand your value and worth from God's perspective, he will glorify himself. He doesn't, you don't need to add anything to it. You don't need to be super special. You don't need to be booed up everywhere. You don't need to have a title, a degree, none of that.
Yes.
You hear me? I was the accidental executive. I was never supposed to make it to the boardroom.
That's good.
I was never supposed to make it to the boardroom.
Hello.
Do you understand?
Oh, yes.
And I would end up in places.
Yes.
The CEO would be, Karen, come in here. I want you to hear this.
Yes.
And I'd be like, are you talking to me? And he's like, you come here. And I would sit in that room, be in that meeting where no one else was allowed in. He would dismiss everybody else and he would say, what did you think about that? Tell me your perspective. And it got to the point where my CEOs would not hold a meeting unless I was in the room. Now, I say this all the time. I joke about this. And there's a reason I say it. So don't anybody come for me. I failed 5th grade math. Okay. I didn't get my college degree until I was 35. Somebody needs to hear this. I didn't get my college degree until I was 35.
Yeah.
But I was being called into rooms that I had no business being in. Why? Because if I've had nothing else, like there's a lot I'm not good at. There's a lot I don't know how to do, but I have nothing else. I have always been this level of a hot mess.
Yes.
I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you what I see. And I have learned to develop my understanding of what God is trying to do in me. But y'all, my life has been no crystal staircase, and it isn't always a cakewalk, right? It's not always unicorns and rainbows. And I built this community because, like Fern, I wanted vision-driven leaders, entrepreneurs, to have a space where you could come and be able to navigate the stages and phases of the vision that God has given you.
Yes.
When you understand your value and worth, beloved, you will understand God is not trying to hurt you. He's trying to set you up.
Yes.
He is not trying to squelch you. He is trying to shape what you need to be in order to rock your vision, the vision that he has for you. I could go on and on and on and on, but we're coming to the end of our time. Y'all, has this resonated with you? If you are watching live, or maybe you're jumping in here in the replay, don't forget, put hashtag replay in here. Has this helped you? Has this resonated with you? It is so important to me that when we bring people into this community and it takes resources to do all of what you see here. We have a whole team behind this. Oh, and by the way, I have a day job. Okay. But it's really important to me that this content resonates with you. So do us a favor, do yourself a favor, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Fern has a ridiculous schedule. She's got a family and a business and clients and all of that. And she took her time out today to speak into this community, to share these things that you wouldn't otherwise get. Neither Fern nor I are cheap. And we serve and we lead. We have for-profit businesses. We are doing the things that we are called to do. But it is our privilege to be in this space to just inspire, encourage, and equip somebody. I hope that you've gotten something that you can take away today as it relates to this concept of understanding your value and worth. Now, in just a moment, at 11:30, Fern and I are going to be jumping on to do a masterclass we're going to be walking through this beauty right here, our vision kit. If you do not have your vision kit, I want you to either go to our website, rockyourvision.net, or you can go into the free group coaching community. If you're watching this on Facebook, just click the link in the banner above. You can find us on Facebook at Rock Your Vision Masterclass Community. You can also find us on IG. There's a link in bio on IG where you can download your vision kit, and that is Rock Your Vision on Instagram. Fern, parting comments for our beautiful community of vision-driven leaders, entrepreneurs, and the mission-minded around discovering the power of your value and worth. Anything at all you would share in closing?
You know, I want to just share one thing that I love to, it's almost like my mantra is that I say, I plan like an executive, but I have faith like a child. Just like my children have faith in me and my husband to be able to give them, you know, hey, mommy, I want a bicycle. And they have no idea how much money we have in the bank, but they have faith that we can make it happen. That's how I am. I get up, I plan like an executive, but at the end of the day, I have childlike faith that whatever is meant for me and whatever I'm supposed to do, God's got it and he's going to make it happen.
Wow.
That's what I'm going to
Fern, you are such a blessing. We love you so much. We bless you. We have adopted you into our community. So thank you so much for just sharing your heart and being willing to serve in this way. We know you're a boss, but you're our sister in this respect. Everybody, thank you so much for those of you that were able to join live. Thank you for sharing in your community and sharing what it is that we're doing in Rock Your Vision. If you happen to know a vision-driven leader, entrepreneur, ministry leader, nonprofit leader, somebody who is mission-minded, who is committed to the vision-driven life, share this with them and invite them to join in this community. We've got some incredible things coming your way. Remember, beloved, you've got more options than you realize. We'll see you next time. Peace.